Hello from me, Lazarus. We continue with the next lesson of the course by Lazarus IDE. We are currently on Chapter 9. Additional ribbon components. We have reached point 4, box type components. We will look at 4 such components: T checklist box, T scroll box, T color box, and T color list box. We start with T checklist box. This component is similar to checkbox and check group, but with several additional properties. We'll start right away with an example. We open a new project and have the Form 1 component of type T checklist box, 2 buttons, and 1 multi-line text field. This is the component of type T checklist box. It represents a square area, which we have stretched to a rectangle, and which is surrounded by continuous line, and we may expand this area as much as we want. Let's see some of its distinctive properties, by looking first the columns property, and this property specifies the number of columns. In this case we will write 2 and we'll continue with the items property, which serves for adding items. I will enter several cities. Except this way elements can be added, and after double-clicking on the item, such an editor appears in which it can to add item and edit. I will introduce a few for now. The city and the item index property shows the serial number of the item, starting at 0, and which element to be marked on initial boot. I write in it 1 and the second element is marked, in this case Plovdiv. So we can tag more than one element. We need to turn on the multi-select property and set its value to true. We will make the program so that when pressing the button add all boxes with a checkmark yes copied to memo 1. For this purpose, we click twice on the add button and in the procedure that appears, write the following code, only for the first element. To do it for all elements we have to write for loop. The code would be a loop means that the variable I on the first spin of the loop that SE says iteration will be 0, in the second, by 1, in the third, by 2, at the fourth, at 3, at the fifth, at 4, and at the sixth of 5. Run the program and check. The code in the second button procedure is simple, memo1.lines.clear, we can see that it is working correctly. If we want to make in program to be copied the highlighted items, then in the procedure instead of checkbox1.checked we will write checkbox1.selected. So, the second component is T-scroll box. This component serves as a panel for placing items, but on overflow a scroll bar appears. Let's deploy here on the right one such component. We have put several init checkboxes and we have assigned it another one color to stand out. Collapsing it, we see that a scroll bar appears. A peculiarity of this component is that if we want to address only some of its elements that are located there, we have to turn around directly to the elements themselves, without writing the name of this component, as if these elements were located directly on the form. Let's complete our program so that the first two fields of this component that have a checkmark also appear in the Memo 1 field when pressing the Add button. For this purpose, we will add the code in the procedure for pressing the Add button. We will start only with the first element. The code there is as follows. We copy it once more, like we change the property from checkbox 1 of checkbox 2. This is what it will be like full code. We test the program as we check the one item from checklist box 1 and on two elements from scroll box 1, checkbox 1 and checkbox 2. We can see that the program is working correctly. I won't show anything anymore on this component because we've covered everything more important than that. We continue with the other two components, tColor box and tColor list box. These two components are very similar, so we will look at them together. The difference between them is that tColor box is successor to tCombo box, and tColor list box is a descendant of tList box. Another difference between them is that tColor box represents only one field in which a drop-down list of colors appears, and the other tColor list box component shows the colors as a whole list with separate lines. Here's what they look like. Here's the first one, here's the second one, so here is the drop-down list. We can choose any color of the colors in these components. The selected property is responsible for this. Another interesting property is style. You can see it. If we choose CB custom color and check true, then it will appear in the lists another field for our chosen color. If we select it and click on the three dots on the right, the standard palette will appear to choose colors, from which we can choose any color. So if we choose CB pretty names and set the answer to true, then in the lists will appear just the names of the colors, without the CL prefix. That's it, just the colors themselves. Let's put two such components of format as follows. Now we will turn on our program such as when the Add button is pressed we will also record the colors that are selected in these components, and for this purpose we will add the following code in the Add button procedure. The color to string ng function converts the color type in string. We use it because in the field Memo 1 you must to enter only text. We test the program and see that everything works fine. We will write two more procedures when changing the selected color in color box 1, to change and the Memo 1 field in the same color, and when changing the selected color in color list box 1, to change the color of the shape to the same color. We start with the first procedure, highlight color box 1, go to the events page, we go to the onChange event and write the following code, and after that in a similar way we write and the second procedure for color list box 1, but here the event is onClick. Here's what we see, but wait, yes. I also showed it in the example in the Lazarus IDE, this is where I did it, compile and run the program, and for example I choose the following, and we see that here they are shown to us as well, these data. And if I choose red, I can see it coloring here. If I choose green, it is colored here and in Memo 1. That's it, we see that the program works correctly. That's all we're going to look at these components and according to our tutorial. Best regards.